touching the human and personal side of all people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, public servants, youth, the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the spot, will also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. One-on-one with interesting personalities, educational and informative topics and issues, intriguing and entertaining. Must listen to. Monday night. In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting the triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side with politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, our public servants, youth, and the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the spotlight, we also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight. In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, and aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of all people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, public servants, youth, the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the spotlight, we'll also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m.
9 minutes, moving down past the 8 o'clock hour. It is Monday. What is the date of today? The 29th day of November in the year 2022. Wherever you are this evening, it is a pleasure to be here with you for another program, another In the Spotlight program. So we thank you for joining us for the program tonight, and it's been a few days since we've been here. We were last here on Monday, and we're just getting ourselves settled down a bit here in the studio. So let us do this properly. Welcome to our listeners on Q95 FM radio. Thank you to our viewers on Facebook. We're also live on YouTube tonight. We're utilizing StreamYard, so let's see how that works for the very first time. So we're live on YouTube. We're live on Fedina Fountain Facebook page, and we're also live on the In the Spotlight radio show page as well. So we're everywhere tonight, and we really do hope that you can join us. Again, you know, as we mentioned, YouTube, a call out to you to go to YouTube for Dinah F. Fountain and subscribe to our YouTube page as well. And our In the Spotlight radio show page, please, we ask that you follow us on that page as well. And we also have the group, as I mentioned, the group by the In the Spotlight Radio Show that we encourage you to follow as well. We are also on Instagram as well. There is an In the Spotlight Instagram, but you can also follow that as well as, my personal page there on Instagram. So the Instagram handle is for Dinah Frampton. And we always look for support in whatever way that you can provide it. We would welcome it. So we do have Cash App, and it's the $Spotlighters, SPOTLIGHTERS. We also have mobile banking that you can utilize as well. Let us acknowledge Q95 for allowing us the opportunity to be here on a Monday night for the In the Spotlight Radio Show. We acknowledge Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited. They are the agents for Barefoot Wine and Tropical Water. Hi, Jenny and team. Good evening. We need a restock of our wines as well. So we'll definitely be doing the linking up later this week. GK Jordan Jerome, we always thank him for his support. Whenever I call on GK, he's always willing to support. And Akim Lowe, Akim is my graphic designer, and I thank him for his support. And to you listeners, wherever you are, tuned into the program, whether through Q95 or any one of our other mediums, we are definitely happy to have you joining us this evening on the In the Spotlight radio show. We thank you so very much. And tonight on the program, this lady has been here before on the program, but we are so happy to have her again back on the program with us. And the topic that we're going to discuss tonight is a topic that we've discussed before as well. But I believe it's a topic that is always relevant, and it's something that you should never be tired of getting information on that particular topic. So we say good evening and welcome to Nurse Priscilla Prevost. Good evening, Nurse Prevost.
Good evening to Dinah, and pleasant evening as well to all your listeners, both here and wherever your reach is.
I like that. Wherever your reach is. Yes, we do have listeners and viewers far and wide.
Yes, exactly.
Right here in Dominica, and people listen from all over the world. And we're happy to have them because this program is one which you could say leans on the human interest area of things, and people love to hear the stories of others.
Okay.
And so, because of that, this program has really drawn people towards it, and I thank them for speaking with us for this program. In addition, this Prevost, we also on occasion deal with topics, which is one of what we're going to do tonight. Although we're going to do it twofold, I felt tonight, seeing that you were coming to join us, I said, the last time this Prevost was here, I don't think we got to know a bit about this Prevost. And so I want to spend some time of the program just getting to know about you, getting to know about your life, your story, things that would interest us, as an audience who have known you for an extended period of time. So we'll start off with that, but I'm going to allow you again just to, reach out to the folks who are tuned in and via whichever platform they're tuned in to tonight.
Okay, so thank you so much for the invitation to join you on the In the Spotlight radio show tonight. Of course, I am here tonight through the Dominican Diabetes Association. And ever since the days of the Butler, a former president of the Diabetes Association, I have been associated with the association, and we have done quite a number of programs together. And even now, more recently, in the last 4 years, I've been partnering, and well, initially I did it on a private, in my private capacity. But as Health Ministries coordinator of this Caribbean conference, I've been partnering with the Diabetes Association in recent years to conduct health programs, and this is one of them tonight. So every year around this time, for the past 4 years, we have been conducting joint programs together, and I'm happy to join you tonight on behalf of the association and myself as well to share on the topic of diabetes.
And I thank you for consenting, because I reached out to the Diabetes Association, and I said to them, it's Diabetes Month, and I've not given you all an opportunity to come join me. And so Miss Birmingham said, no problem for Dinah, we will work it out. By the end of the day, I will tell you who is going to join you on the program. And then she came back to say, Ms. Priscilla Prevost is going to join you, and I know, Ms. Prevost, how well versed you are on the subject matter and health issues in general. We will get to know more about that in a while, and how knowledgeable you are as well, in terms of providing information and sharing information with the general public. So we're happy to have you in the studios tonight with us to share, especially those of us who are diabetic. And the learning process or the education process never ends. It never ends because, even if you've gotten to the point of reversing it, the education process never ends, because you have to know how you keep it reversed and all of that. But Ms. Prevost, let us begin by, getting to know you a bit better. As I said prior, in the past, we've had you on the program, but most times I think we've just got into the subject matter. But this evening we want to get to know Ms. Prevost a bit. So Ms. Prevost, in a nutshell, just introduce yourself to us.
Okay, well, Priscilla Prevost, as that's the name, of Mr. Fabian. I'm married to Prevost, but Fabian by birth, so some people may not know that. I was born in the village of Benz, raised in the village of Dodan, married in St. Joseph, worship church services at Salisbury, and I work around Dominican in the Caribbean.
Oh my goodness. This is incredible.
Yes.
So you have a little bit of you has touched just about every part of Dominica.
That's correct. That's correct. And of course, through the radio programs, much like DBS and like this program and others, everywhere I go in Dominica, they catch my voice, and they talk about the poor breakfast or the healthy eating, something.
Tell me about the family life.
Well, as I said, I'm Fabian, one of 17.
Oh my, your daddy was pretty busy.
one of 12 from Mama and one of 17 from Dad. So I presently have 12 siblings.
Well,
yes.
Everybody's
Most
good.
of whom are in Dominican.
Everybody's good generally.
Generally.
All right.
Generally.
But I always, whenever people come on this program and we try to get to know a bit about them, we want to know a bit about the community. We want to know about Mama. We want to know about Papa. We want to know what life was like growing up as far as and best as you can remember.
Yeah.
So let's talk.
Well, of course, as I said, I was born in Benz, but raised with my grandparents in Dodan. Yes, and that was an extremely nice time for me. I went to Dodan school, primary school, and up to 10 years. And then from 10 years, I attended the Adventist, Seventh Day Adventist school up in Bourne.
Oh,
Yeah.
There comes another community.
Another community.
Yes.
You understand? And in those days, we walked to school.
Yes.
We walked from Dodan to Bourne to school on most days. Church was also in Bourne, so we walked to Bourne to church in the morning, go back home sometimes for lunch, and then go back in the afternoon for AY or what we call youth meetings. Yes, and sometimes even again, we'll go back for social. So,
a lot of walking.
A lot of activity, and besides that, we did a lot of farming with the family, you know, so we had family farm, so we did gardening and so. So even today, I can handle my cutlass. Yes.
Yeah. So is that what you define as some of what was the bit of the challenging times? The fact that there was so much walking involved in terms of where you had to go to, or was it just, difficult times?
It wasn't, I wouldn't call it difficult times. I just consider it as that was the life then, you know, and we enjoyed it because in coming from school, you would stop at some garden somewhere and you would get ripe pawpaw and ripe fig and guava and, you know, those kind of the natural food, healthy food, you know, and that is what we actually grew up on.
So that definitely lays the foundation for what the career path you took.
Exactly.
Definitely lays the foundation for the career.
Definitely. And at 18, in fact, my 18th birthday was in June, and in September I started the nursing student nurse program, you know, at the Princess Margaret Hospital, so School of Nursing, and then moved to Roseau, obviously, and got married after completing the nursing program. Got married and lived in St. Joseph. Have one daughter, one child. My daughter, yes, one. And I give God thanks for that one. Yes.
Very, very early on, you mentioned going to church and going to Adventist, which is what you are. Was it grandparents who led you to Adventist? How did that come?
Well, my grandparents were the first set of Adventists in the village of Ludan. Yes. So, and church began at home in Ludan. Yes.
Oh.
And my parents, my grandfather, my father was one of the first Adventists in Venice. You know, so my mother among the first in Jordan and my father was in Venice and they got together. So I was raised in an Adventist family, Adventist home. Yeah, and of course when the school started, Adventist school started, we were transferred from government school to Adventist school.
And you never moved away from
Never
Adventist. Never. What are the doctrines? What are the principles of the Adventist Church? Just trying to get to know a little bit about.
Yes. Well, the Seventh Day Adventist. The word Seventh Day means that we believe in the seventh day Sabbath according to the commandments, right? So we believe and accept the entire 10 commandments, not 9 but 10. And Adventist means that we are looking forward to the second coming or the second advent of Christ, which is future.
The seventh day for you lands where? Saturday, Sunday?
Saturday, yeah.
Lands on
because
Saturday.
when the school, from the time when the school up till today, we learned the days of the week are Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
So it ends on Saturday.
It ends on Saturday, you know, and of course the Saturday is a memorial of creation, and God created the world in 6 days. And in Genesis chapter 2, verse 1, he said, on the seventh day we rested. And then when he gave the commandments in Exodus 28 to 11, we refer back to Genesis, right? To Genesis where he created. So you rest on the seventh day because in it, God did, you know, he created the world in 6 days and he rested on the seventh.
So what happens on that seventh?
Oh, well, it is a day where we worship. It is a time to spend with God, with family, and with fellow believers. So we go to church, we have worship, we sing, we study, you have somebody who preaches. We have what we call the Sabbath School. So the first part of the morning is called a Sabbath School. So we have a quarterly lesson that you study during the week. And on Saturdays, we come and we review, like a class, you know, what we have studied, and we share, you know, with each other. We have fellowship, And in the afternoon, we go home for lunch. And sometimes, when I was before COVID, we'll have lunch together at church. And in the afternoon, we have what we call youth meetings. We go back for the youth meetings. I should also say that, of course, the Sabbath begins on Friday at sunset. So we family comes together and worship, have songs, and we pray and share experiences for the week. So it's time to spend with God, with family, and with them.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us. We all have to respect each other's religion. So somebody may be Catholic, maybe Pentecost. You are Seventh Day Adventist, and so you are with me tonight. And I have no issues inquiring from you about your religion and how it works. So thank you for sharing that.
I'm happy to share.
Yes. And so so you grew up in the Adventist church. You went to primary school in Bourne, and then did you seek common entrance? Did you go through that process?
Well, at the time, I don't think it was common entrance there yet. It was school living certificate, school living.
Okay, okay.
And I started school living, and of course, you got your school living, and at the age after completing primary school, then it was only those who were able financially, and otherwise you have people to stay in town to go to high school in town. So there was no high school in the north at the time. So I did not attend high school. I taught at the very same school for 2 years. So I taught from 16 to 18 at the same Adventist school. And at 18, as I said, I started the nursing program.
You started the nursing program. So tell us how the interest in nursing came about.
Well, somehow I always loved people and caring for people, probably because I was raised with my grandparents. I was with my grandparents, and I was like the last of their children. And I did a lot of caring for them at the time. And so I developed that caring attitude and really wanted to expand that more. Besides that, my aunt was also a nurse.
So she inspired you in some way?
Yes. And I think 8 years older than I. So, and she was working in town, and so, and communicating with her, she also inspired me. That is Nurse Jeannie Paul.
Okay. Take us through your nursing journey.
Well, nursing after completing the 3-year program on nursing school,
Did you have to pay for it?
No, it was free.
It was free.
It was free, and in fact, we got what was called maybe a stipend then. Yeah, we started with, I think it was $150.
Okay.
Yes, $150 a month. And yes, and 60 of that went towards the hostel. Yeah, so you only had $90
left.
Yes.
But that went
a long way. It went a long way. I got my first sewing machine, all of that. Yeah. So after completing that program, I worked at the hospital for about a year, and then I did the midwifery program. And after midwifery, by then I was married. I got married right after the midwifery program, and then I decided I wanted to be in the community.
In the community. So what would that involve?
That as a district nurse, midwife now, because having done midwifery, it involved antenatal care, providing antenatal care, child care, also home deliveries. I recall delivering about 50 babies in St. Joseph.
Oh, wow. At their homes?
Well, most of it was home delivery, and later on we did a few health center delivery. Okay. But most of it was at home. And at the time, people were having a lot of children, not like now.
Well, clearly. Yes, 11, 12, 13. Oh, Lord.
Yeah. So doing deliveries at home, and it was quite interesting. And of course, attending to emergencies and dressings, doing dressings. At the time, we gave a lot of injections, penicillin injection. Yeah. So that was it. And of course, 3 years into being a midwife, I went to study the family nurse practitioners program in St. Vincent.
Oh.
Along with Nurse Hyacinth Thomas and Nurse from Tara Bristol, Timothy.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 of us went to St. Vincent.
How long? How long?
It was 10 months.
10 months.
10 months, and when we came back, we did a 6 months internship. Yeah, I did my internship in Portsmouth.
In Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, one of the things that I'm kind of interested in is the midwifery and you know, doing the deliveries at home. And I'm sure you've done hundreds of deliveries.
Overall,
yes.
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 As I said, I did 50 home deliveries
in St. Joseph. Tell me if you recall if you had any situation where probably the baby was breached, or you know, share one or two of those stories with us that you had that experience, and what did you do? What did you have to do?
Yeah. I recall having an undiagnosed breach. Yeah, and the district, and when I got there, and it was a breach, I recall what I studied, and you know, and was able to do the delivery. Thank God it was because at the time you go and the person is fully dilated and it's ready, and the food is almost, you know, there. But I was able to do the delivery and then take the person to the hospital.
Take the person to hospital.
Yes.
And baby and mommy were good.
Good.
All right. Okay. And I'm sure you had a few of those.
Well, only one I had in the community.
In the community.
Because this was an undiagnosed breach.
I see.
Generally, when we see the mothers, the antenatal mothers, you would do the assessment, you go to high risk clinic, and then if they have a breach, they're twins, also these people will continue going to the clinic at the hospital, the high risk clinic, and delivery will obviously be at the hospital.
So you got into family nurse practitioning. Or what made you move to that direction?
Well, as at the time, primary health care was just starting off in Dominican, and not
to interrupt you, Nurse. When you speak about primary health care, explain to us what exactly you're referring to.
Okay, primary health care was a strategy to make health care available, accessible, and affordable to the community or to individuals at the local level, as opposed to secondary care. So secondary care is your hospital services.
Right. So
primary care is the first level of care provided to the individuals residents in our communities, and that dealt with prevention. Maternal and child health was an integral part. Community participation was a very important component of primary health care. So there we had like health committees, and the community was very much involved, you know, in the entire care. As was coming in with Pastor Rodney, just reminded me, he was one of the chairpersons or vice chairman of the district health committee, and we were able to source that a truck garbage disposal was one of the main issues. It was a big public health problem in the communities all along the coast. You had open dumps and all of that. And it is the community that came together and decided we're going to do something about it. And then we got ordered a truck. I was with one of the doctor, district doctor was the leader of the team. And then it was really, really interesting.
And he did comment. That is when that was the time when people used to get involved in the community and get community work done. Those were the days, he said, basically. Yes. So nurse, in a nutshell, how would you describe your career in the field of health, nursing more so?
Well, I believe it has been a very successful career. Although I took early retirement from government service, but that did not stop me from being a nurse. I remained a nurse. In fact, somewhere around in the 1997, 96, thereabout, but I was always involved in providing volunteer services with one of the church organizations, ADRA, Adventist Development Relief Agency. And together we're able to do a lot of programs, health programs, education programs. And one of the programs that we did was a lifestyle intervention for chronic disease. And that program I did in the entire health district, and the results was astounding. Yeah. And it is because of that result, I said, you know what? I just wanted to do that on a larger scale. I didn't want to have boundaries, you know, because I could only do that in St. Joseph District, but I wanted to do that on a national level. And so I took early retirement and decided that I was going to do my own private practice where I would be able to do this kind of health education training here. And my intention was to expand that to other islands like Antigua, you know, and so yes, I
and were you able to?
I started, in fact, I was in the process of applying for
grant funding?
Not grant funding, but for licensure with the Nurses Association or Nursing Council there. But somewhere along the way, along the line, in 2005, I was called to serve the church part-time as a coordinator for health for the conference, which consists of the islands of Barbados and Dominican, of course. Associate ADRA coordinator with responsibility for Dominica. And with that, I was able to manage the relief efforts for the church post Erica, right? And then post Maria as well. We were able to manage. So we build the homes, and I coordinated the building of the homes, construction of the homes at Platinum here. 6 housing units, 3 buildings up and down. And after Maria, we did a lot of renovations and roof repairs. And we also did one house for a family in Dublin. And presently we still have some 3 projects, you know, waiting to start.
So you decided to resign early from government to go into your own practice. How has that been working out for you? Has it, did you think that you made the right decision?
Well, I know I made the right decision because besides just going into practice, it gave me an opportunity for further education, for further development, personal development, because I was able to do a full master's program in public health after retiring from government service. and I started in 2012. I graduated in 2015, and from 2016, I was able to start another postgrad program on project management, which I completed in 2020.
Congratulations to you. You are one of the perfect examples that is you're never too old. You're never too old. You're never too old, especially in the advent of online schooling. You're never too old. Nurse Helen Roy is on. I just saw her saying good night to you. So yes.
Yes, good night, Ms. Roy, and to all those who are listening and viewing. Yes.
And we were just talking about the fact that it's never too old, and I want to provide you with the platform that's free for to encourage others who probably have given up and do not want. They feel the brain is tired, they don't have time for that, they've passed that stage of their lives, and that should not be the case.
That should not be. I encourage everyone because you see, our brain, God has given us that capacity that we can learn, and you just go for it. And I encourage younger people as well. Use the opportunities they have because I did not have the opportunities that many of the young people have today. But I embrace the opportunities that came to me. And this is why even when I am asked to do certain things like the opportunity to be here tonight,
Mm-hmm.
I don't decline because I want the opportunity to share the knowledge that God has given to me with others and also to learn, because every day there's something that you can learn.
And you've been doing a lot of that. We know you've been doing the pub. Do you still do that on DBS? The pub breakfast?
Yes, I do.
You still do that.
Yes.
You do the pub breakfast, and you continue to lend your knowledge and the information sharing with the community. So thank you for that, Liz Frivo.
One thing I also should mention that was part while my private capacity clinic stopped after Hurricane Maria because the office was damaged and all of that and so, but the corporate wellness was one of the things that I initiated here, where the companies like Dominican and School and some of the banks, and I was able to do health screening and consultation with their staff on an annual basis, and to me that was a great aspect as far as primary health care and disease prevention, early detection is concerned. So that was also something that I
you left your mark.
Yes.
If today or tomorrow in this free one, I don't know if you've been asked already, that you're asked to come back and support, within the healthcare system in Dominica, is that something that you would consent to? Is it something you would consider?
Well, I have been able to provide support at different levels, different capacity. Yeah, I serve presently as a consultant in public health and in those areas, and anytime I'm asked to serve, to provide at workshops, at on a seminars. And by the way, I should mention to you that the capacity to learn to me is God has given me that, and call it a gift, because even with the present COVID situation and the use of the Zoom platform, I have not been able to travel to Barbados since COVID. But however, I've been able to service and serve the community or the church in Barbados and Dominica through the Zoom platform, and been able to conduct programs, several programs, training programs for the churches. Presently, there is an ongoing program that we have every Sunday for 8 weeks, 5 weeks already gone, where we have people from Barbados, Antigua, Guyana, participating in the program every Sunday for 2 hours. Yes, and of course, this is comprehensive health. We do the chronic disease, we do lifestyle changes, and all of that, and people are truly being blessed for that. So, using the technology that is available, I mean, God has helped me that I'm able to use the technology and even help to train people to use the technology, to access services.
Excellent. Before we break into the topic of discussion here this evening, I want to give you the platform, let's Prevost, in terms of your business. Do you see people? Do you provide consultancies? Do you provide that level of support? If you're willing to provide your information and what you offer, please feel free to do that before we move on.
Okay, well, my number 245 6373 767 245 6373. My email is priscilla@hotmail.com. Yes, I provide counseling, even online counseling for persons with diabetes, persons with obesity, the non-communicable diseases. This is my pet area. Risk reduction and risk identification, risk reduction. So like for screening, presently, while I don't see in-person individuals, but I encourage persons to get their blood pressure monitor, to get their blood sugar monitor. There was a client I saw from Barbados. I've been seeing from her, I haven't seen her place, but she would do a test and she would take the picture, the WhatsApp picture of it, and show me the actual results on the meter, and then we went through the diet. Sometimes I do the plates, I plate the food and send the picture and show them what it is like, what a lunch would be like, the servings and all of that. I don't consider myself a nutritionist. I don't claim that title. However, nutrition is one of my pet areas, and I've been able to do a lot of education as well as training in terms of nutrition and healthy eating, because healthy eating is one of the key factors that can help us to overcome the non-communicable diseases like diabetes.
Well, Ms. Prevost, you are definitely an asset to us and to many. It's a word without borders now, so you can touch anybody anywhere in the world, to provide support, to provide guidance, to counsel, to consult whatever desire or need that they have. And with people like you who are able to do that, I think those of us who need it should make full use of it and get the information that we need from the experts. So we just really want to thank you for the work that you've done in Dominica. I mean, how many years in the business? 40?
Yeah, over 45 years in medicine. Yeah.
I mean, this is enormous. This is enormous. So I don't think that you lack any information. I mean, all of these years that you've been involved in this, I think you're very well placed to guide and to give information and to share with persons who need that type of information. So we're just going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will get into the business of diabetes. It is Diabetes Awareness Month, and we're just winding down the month. As a matter of fact, tomorrow is the last day of the month of November, and so the Dominica Diabetes Association sent me this lovely lady here tonight to talk. I hope that she can see at least a little bit about the association, that people can know a bit about the Dominica Diabetes Association. Keep it locked, folks. We're coming right back.
In response on Q95 FM every night at 8 p.m. in the spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican, celebrating their triumphs and triumphs, dreams, hopes, and aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, public servants, youth, the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the spotlight will also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. One-on-one with interesting personalities, educational and informative topics and issues, intriguing and entertaining, and must listen to. The Spotlight, Monday nights from 8 p.m. on Q9.
8:51:52 is the time in the studios of Q95 FM radio, and we have as our guest this evening Nurse Priscilla Prevost, over 45 years of experience within the health remit, and she's here tonight representing the Dominican Diabetes Association. She's here on their behalf so that we can talk about diabetes. First of all, Ms. Prevost, again, thank you for joining us. And please begin by telling us a bit about the Dominican Diabetes Association.
Okay, good night again, everyone. Thanks for having me. The Dominican Diabetes Association is presently headed by the Miss Marlene Birmingham, who is the president of the association. And the association for this year have, in fact, for this month, Diabetes Month, have conducted a lot of programs, especially featuring food care. We had Mr. Michael Bell from Barbados doing a session for the diabetic patients and other persons, and that was done via Zoom, and was a very interesting session. We also had Dr. Esprit, who is a specialist in wound care, and so she did another presentation via Zoom again with the focus on healthcare professionals. Very interesting program. And of course, there were radio programs, and we also had a talking point program on DBS. Among that, they have been providing assistance to individuals and communities where persons may need assistance with either supplies or their needs, individual needs. The aim really is to have other groups in the community. So like Salisbury had an active group, but presently has not been that active. And the goal is to have other groups in communities or districts, because the association is supposed or meant to be a support for the diabetics. And the association doesn't only consist of persons who are diabetic. So in other words, you don't have to be have a diagnosis of diabetes to be a member of the association. Once you have interest in helping people and educating people in the area of proper management or prevention, then you can be a part of the association.
Yes, and in fact, I did receive an invitation to be a part of that particular association, but I had to turn it down at the time because my plate is quite full, still quite full. But I do hope at some point, when the plate is a little less full, that I can at least come on and give some support.
Okay. But what you're doing tonight is definitely providing support to the
And I reached out. The association did not even reach out in this case. I reached out because I know what I am. I know my daddy was, and especially after my father passed, I think he was
I was a member of the association. Yes, he was.
You know, and so they did reach out. I don't remember exactly who did. It must have been Miss Birmingham herself. You know, but I said at some point I would want to play a more active role, and I'm happy to be able to do this evening. But definitely I look forward to playing a more active role with them. It is one just merely because of my father. It is one of the associations that I would definitely commit to being a part of at some point, God willing.
Oh
yes,
sooner than later.
Sooner than later, indeed. Sooner than later, indeed. The only thing is that, you know, I do not want to commit and then I cannot, you know, give my full support and get involved fully.
Yeah.
So I would rather wait when I'm able to than, you know, to do it now. And, you know, I have to say, oh, I'm sorry, I cannot make it to that meeting. I'm sorry, I cannot make it to that event.
So right now it is easier because most of the meetings are held virtually. Yes. And you don't have to be at every event or every activity, but based upon your expertise, based upon, you know, you use your
strength.
gifts and your strength to assist the association, like as I said you're doing tonight.
Definitely. I'll take that into consideration, Ms. Prevost. So the association seems to be pretty active, and in terms of your activities that you've done for the month, it seems that you've had the ball rolling.
Yes.
And this is one of the programs that is towards the latter end of the observance of the month, but I'm sure the association is going to continue to be very active in terms of the education process.
Definitely.
So hence the reason why you are here tonight. We're going to talk diabetes. And first of all, we have to get an understanding of what it is and how it works.
Okay, so yes, we look at what is diabetes, the types of diabetes, debunking some of the myths of diabetes, the risk factors, access to care, which is one of the theme, part of the theme for this year. World Diabetes Day, and of course we'll talk about diabetes reversal and defeating diabetes. And somewhere during the program, I've asked diabetic to call in.
Oh, awesome! Yes.
To call in so that we can hear from him in terms of his success as far as managing or reducing diabetes is concerned, whichever it is.
Okay, just quickly go over the areas we're going to cover.
So we look at what is diabetes, the types of diabetes, debunking some of the myths or untruths, I would say, about diabetes, the risk factors, and access to care, diabetes reversal, or defeating diabetes.
Okay, I think we have a good agenda there, yes, to work with. Yeah. All right, so let us begin with understanding what diabetes is.
Okay, so diabetes is a metabolic disease, and by metabolic we mean it is the way that the body handles or the ineffective handling of the food that it takes in, especially that of glucose or carbohydrates. It's carbohydrates as well as fats. So when we eat, fats as well. So when we eat whatever food we eat, the total calories, the carbohydrate itself it is turned into sugar. So while we eat dashing of bread or rice or oatmeal or so,
those carbs that we love so much,
carbohydrates in there, the body needs to assimilate that carbohydrate by it breaks it down into sugar, and it is the sugar that goes to the cells to provide energy. Now, the sugar cannot get to the cells by itself. So the insulin is produced by the pancreas to transport that sugar into the cells. So the insulin serves as a transport system. So two things happen or can happen with diabetes in that either there is inadequate production of insulin, there's none at all, or at the receptor site, so where the sugar is supposed to be getting into the cells, there is a problem and it cannot get in, so the sugar remains high in the blood, and that excess sugar is spilled out in the urine, and so you get what we call a CPD, or the urine is actually sweet. And if you test the blood, of course, the level of sugar in the blood, of glucose in the blood, would be elevated. Now, that elevation of blood sugar over time, or consistent elevation of blood sugar, damages the organs. So it damages the nerves, the blood vessels, the organs like the kidneys, and all of that. So you will end up with the complications of diabetes, like blindness, because the nerves and the blood vessels of the eye being affected, the kidneys, kidney failure, and person have to be on dialysis, and the legs because of the nerve damage, and also the small blood vessels, damage to the small blood vessels because of poor circulation. Then you can have persons having infections, gangrene, and eventually amputation of the legs. So this, in a nutshell, is what diabetes is all about. So what happens is either a problem at the pancreas level, or the problem is at the cell level, where there's either too much fat in the blood or too much fat in the tissues itself, or the cells itself, that is preventing the cell from opening up to receive the sugar with the insulin.
Okay. All right. I think we got that. And then there are different types.
Yes. So there are different types, and the first we deal with is the gestational diabetes. So some persons who are pregnant for whatever reason, they develop diabetes during pregnancy, but in the majority of cases, they get over it after the delivery. Okay. Some persons go on to develop the type 2 diabetes, so the diabetes persists after. And I believe it will be based upon the risk factors which will come to know. Type 1 diabetes, it is an autoimmune disease, and it's usually found in children. It used to be called juvenile diabetes, but or insulin-dependent diabetes. And the word insulin-dependent is because they're not producing insulin, so they would need insulin by injection. And this is just about 10% of the total diabetic population. Yeah. And the type 3 diabetes, which is the 90%, which means the majority of diabetics are in that category, it is type 2 diabetes. And of course, that is a lifestyle disease. So it's generally based upon lifestyle, either too much fat in the diet, too much eating, too much lack of exercise, and all of this, which we'll come to in a while. Yeah, so type 2 diabetes. That's type 2 diabetes. And
which is the majority of
which is the majority.
Yeah. Yes. And you were going to say once you're type 2.
Once the type 2 diabetes has been diagnosed, it means that you have insulin. You're producing insulin. Yeah? But somehow the insulin is not being utilized properly, or there's a problem with the metabolism of the glucose, you know?
So type 2, you are producing insulin?
Generally. Yes.
So what could cause the issues?
Well, as I said, you are producing insulin, but at the receiving the insulin, the sugar with the insulin, somehow it is not getting to where it's supposed to get to.
And what would cause that?
As I said, it could be fat, too much fat, not enough of the receptor sites, or the receptor sites are lazy, you know, they are not opening as it should be. Just say you have a door, this door here, right? And you have people outside want to come to the office, but the door is closed. They cannot get in. They're out there, they can't get in. So you have, you're serving in here, but there is supply outside. You cannot get it because the door cannot open. Why is the door not opening? Sometimes it could be probably you have not opened it in a long time and the hinges are rust. You know, it cannot open properly. Or you do not have enough doors. Maybe you have a building, there are lots of people, but you have only one entrance to get in. So people out there, it is taking a long time to get in because you only have one entrance to this room. Okay? If you have more entrance or more doors, you can get in more people in. So the doors are the receptor sites of the cells. So if you do not have enough receptor sites, or those receptor sites are lazy, and what gets them lazy? Lack of exercise. You understand? So if you exercise, you can increase your receptor sites. If you remove the fat, right? Remove the fat, less fat in the diet, less fat in the blood. And this is why when you do a triglyceride test, persons with a high triglyceride test are at greater risk for getting diabetes later on. Persons who have a high fat, body fat percentage, have greater risk or chances of developing diabetes. So these are some of the things that we have seen coming to the risk factors.
Yes. Yes. Let's go on.
Okay, so according to the World Bank data 2019, the prevalence of diabetes in Dominica ages 20 to 79 years was 11.6%.
11.6. Is this high?
Yes, this is high because it is above the world average. There were 422 million adults living diabetes globally in 2014, compared to 108 million in 1980. Yeah, so 1980 was 4.7% of the adult population.
4.7%.
Yes, and in 2014 it was 8.5%.
This is
8.5%.
this is more than double.
Right, exactly. And in 2019
was the last year.
Yes, but in 2019, Dominica, according to the World Bank data, we had 11.6%. So that is much higher than although the years are different,
yes,
but it is higher than the world average.
Right.
And it is said that in the region, in the Caribbean, or percentage of diabetes is high, really high. And yes, so there is what we know about diabetes now. We have heard that persons can live long diabetes based on proper management, and there is a story about this. CBS carried the news in 2011 of Bob Cross, who turned 90 with type 2 diabetes, and also Winsome Johnson, who in 2013 was 79 years with type 1 diabetes. So persons can live long, with diabetes. However, we know, based on research, that type 2 diabetes can be prevented and it can also be reversed. Yes? So
let us begin with the prevention.
Okay, so prevention, how can we prevent? First of all, we need to identify what the risk factors are. And the major risk factor for diabetes is obesity. Yeah? So we need to reduce the level of obesity in the society. Any country where your prevalence of obesity is high, you will have a high rate of diabetes. And where you have a high rate of diabetes and hypertension, you will have a high rate of the complications, which would be heart disease, heart attack, stroke, kidney failure, and all of that. Because when I was doing nursing, probably you hardly hear of persons on dialysis. Then, well, probably people were sick and there was not the facility for that. However, the number of persons on dialysis now is just too many for small countries.
It's concerning for you.
Yeah, it's just too many. So we need to know that diabetes can be prevented with regular exercise, 30 to 60 minutes, 15 minutes, 3 times a day, or 3 times per day will give you 45 minutes. So exercise is accumulative. Eating a plant-based diet for reduced consumption of meat, fats, and oils, and refined foods. Get to your ideal weight as much as possible. Get adequate rest, 7 to 8 hours, because sleep plays an important role in lack of sleep plays an important role in the development of diabetes. Yeah. So we are encouraging persons to get adequate sleep, reduce and manage stress, because stress also plays a role. Drinking adequate amount of water, 8 to 10 glasses, because I said 8 to 10. Normally we would say 6 to 8, but because we have so much obesity and the water intake is based upon your size, based upon your weight and level of activity and so on.
What role is the water? You know, we always hear about drink 6 to 8 glasses of water a day. What role does it play, especially for a diabetic?
Yes. Well, water constitutes the majority. 70% of your body is water. Now, sometimes if you are had a stroke or you are hypertensive, sometimes the doctor puts you on an aspirin. What aspirin does? Aspirin thins the blood, right? To prevent it from clotting. Now, if you don't drink adequate amount of water, it means your blood is very thick, right? The consistency of the blood is thick, and if it is too thick, then you have the possibility of you could get clots. So not only that, but the whole digestive process, every organ, every aspect of your body, your kidneys. You know, if you don't drink adequate of water, then you're putting a lot of stress on your kidneys. You know, so water is very important and plays a significant role. Besides that, when you drink water, if you drink water, then you are less likely to consume a lot of juices. Yeah. So the water doesn't have any calories, so you are safe in drinking water as opposed to drinking juice where you take in additional calories that
Yes. This Nurse Priscilla Prevost in the spotlight tonight on behalf of the Dominican Diabetes Association. We're talking about diabetes. We've looked at what it is. We've looked at the types of diabetes, the different types. We've looked at some of the risk factors. Have we gone into detail with the risk factors?
Yeah, I mentioned it. Yeah, probably we could do a little bit more on that. I mentioned obesity as one.
Yes.
The other risk factor really also relates to obesity because it's unhealthy diets. You know, lack of physical activity. Well, this too relates to the obesity, and also smoking. Yeah, smoking, because smoking damages the blood vessels, and smoking puts persons at risk for many health problems. The other area, of course, stress can either augment or either contribute in one way, in some way, to the development, especially as it relates to the stress hormones that are produced. These are disruptive to the body. And of course, there are hereditary factors, yes, and we will come to that when we talk about the meals, because some people believe so much that it's because of their mother or their father that they are diabetic today. And
I might be one of those.
As in one program, no, don't blame your father, don't blame your mother. They did not have the information that you have today, right? So they lived a certain way, they did things a certain way, but today with all the research, with all the information, with all the studies that have been done, we know better than they knew. So therefore, we don't have to go the same way that they went, we can change.
May his soul rest in peace. I say I took both the good and the bad from my daddy. 15 minutes past 9 o'clock. We're coming right back. This is the In the Spotlight Radio Show. We thank you so much for joining us on the program tonight. We do appreciate your presence. We're coming right back after this.
In the Spotlight on Q95 Radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal self, in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our fathers, public servants, youth, and the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the spotlight, so spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM Radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight. In the Spotlight on Q95 FM Radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, and aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of all people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, public servants, youth, the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no rules for in the spot, with also spotlight, interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM Radio every Monday night from 8 p.m.
17 past the 9 o'clock hour, and we are back with Nurse Priscilla Prevost, and we're talking diabetes tonight on the In the Spotlight radio show. Where did we leave off, Nurse Prevost?
Yes, well, we were on the risk factors and we spoke about prevention. So now we can look at the access to care.
Okay, we want to talk about the myths.
Yeah, yes.
Would you like to do that later on, or the access to care first?
Yes. Well, let's do the myths now.
Yes, let's do the myths.
Yes. Because we spoke about the hereditary factors. Yeah, we were just talking about that. Yes, and while hereditary factor is a factor, hereditary factor meaning your relative, or so there's a family history of diabetes, or there's diabetes in the family. But sometimes it's not necessarily genetic per se, like it passed on to you from the genes. What's quite likely has been happening is that the lifestyle of the parents, passes on. So you eat a certain way, right? And you learn to eat based on your family culture, so to speak. So you learn to prepare meals the same way, a certain way, right? So some people would use oil and they will still use butter. There's some people fry their fish and they make gravy with it. Some people, and it
That's real. Every time you come here, I feel like you're talking to me.
I don't know what your lifestyle is.
And many others. No, but that's how we grew up. So we'd fry the fish, and then we'd make our nice gravy and that.
Oil in that again.
Oh, yes, because you use the oil to stew up your garlic and your onions and your whatever, and then you make your gravy, you make your sauce, and then you put your water in there, and then you boil up, you put your fish in, and voila, and then you put a little white rice on this side because you really love it. My father loved white rice.
Okay.
And I love white rice. I love white rice with fish gravy, just how you mentioned.
Yeah. And then
Wow.
sometimes on a Sunday you have macaroni and cheese, and some people make their macaroni and cheese.
Oh,
I didn't know
Lord.
that until lately I found out people put egg, they put milk, they put
Mayo.
butter, they put even mayo too
Mhm.
in macaroni and cheese. So when you have a piece of
I put
macaroni
mayo
and
in my
cheese,
macaroni and cheese, it makes it nice and creamy.
but you are adding fat,
Indeed.
adding fat to that.
Yeah.
So therefore, we are saying that the meat of, because your parents had diabetes, that you are next in line to have it, is not necessary. So if you recognize that you have a family history of diabetes and you are conscious of it and you make a determined effort not to go the same way, not to use the same type of cooking method, the same type of
pattern.
food,
Mhm.
the same pattern, and you change that, your course of life will be different. It's like you go in that road, but that road leads to destruction. So you make a right about turn, and you take a different path, and your result can be different from your ancestors.
And that's where the education comes in.
That is where
Because probably it's so embedded in us that that is how you grew up. That's what you know. You move out on your own and you just continue cooking the same way. You continue doing the same things.
Yeah.
And to you, you're not doing anything wrong because you love. That's what you know. That's what your parents taught you. That's how you were taught to cook.
Yeah.
And you continue along those lines. So until the education aspect of it from people like you come along, we may listen, we may hear you, but we have to act. It's one thing to listen and to hear, but the action is what it is. And it may take some time, this free.
Yes.
It may take some time. It may take, you've been here before. You are here tonight. It may take you to come back here twice again, for me to say, well, this room said that. I really need to make that change. It takes, everything is a process.
Yes.
It takes time.
Yes.
But at some point we have to
get it
before it's too late.
Before it's too late, because I have seen persons who pass, and somehow, or not just necessarily pass, some person maybe now have an amputation or probably on dialysis or something like that, but somewhere along the line, I had some sort of interaction with that person and spoke to them on the topic of diabetes. Because as you can see, 45 years, I've been around for a long time, and especially in the last 25 years, let's say, I've been all out with healthy lifestyle, promoting healthy lifestyle, reducing our risk for those diseases and all of that. And you see people, they don't take it seriously, but then sometimes when they do think or want to do it, it is a little too late. So I'm appealing to all our listeners tonight. If you have a diagnosis of diabetes, I want you to know that it can be reversed, and that is where we come to the next point in that in our discussion. Before I go there, I'll tell the other myth is that diabetes cannot be cured or it cannot be reversed and you have it for life. This is a myth that has come, well, we may not see it as a myth because it comes from the medical profession, from the nursing profession. So we may not see it as a myth. But if we understand how diabetes, if you, let's say you're obese, so I'm obese, right? And I change my diet and I lose weight and I am no longer obese. Would you consider me still as being obese? No. The same thing goes for typhoid. You have typhoid. It is an infectious disease, yes, but you treat the person so that they do no longer have the typhoid germ in them. Would you say that they are still a typhoid patient? No. So why do we do it with chronic disease? if we identify the cause of the problem and remove the cause, then the condition or the problem will go away. The problem is we take too long to, we give people, first of all, the wrong mental concept or appreciation of what the disease is all about. Because if I tell you you have a condition that you have for life, you will behave in that way.
Yes.
All you have to do, take your medication, take your blood sugar, that is that, and that's it.
But you see,
And you
this is not the case.
That should not be the case. It's not the case. If your diabetes is as a result of obesity, before you have target organ damage, your nerves and your blood vessels and all of that, and you change, you lose the weight, your blood sugar can settle, you can reverse the diabetes. Like you cure diabetes because you remove the cause, right? And if you do it early enough before you have target organ damage, then you can reverse the condition completely. But if you go back to doing the same lifestyle, the same thing that brought you in the first place,
yes. And you're saying with type 2 diabetes that you can manage it and reverse it.
And reverse it. You can prevent it, you can manage, reverse. For the programs that I do, I tell people you aim for reversal. If you don't get to reverse, you will manage. You'll drop and manage it, right? But you aim for reversing. So you aim for the stars, right? And if you
drop on the clouds,
then you are still better off than where you were. Okay. So this is something I would like. We have someone. I hope he can call if he's listening.
If he's able to call, he can call us on 449-3095. So your guests that we're expecting, they can call on 449-3095 and we will get to him. So you're saying these are two of the main myths. Where diabetes is concerned. That one, it cannot be reversed, and two, that it's hereditary. I didn't get it from my father.
You didn't get it from your father.
I didn't get it from my father. So I hope the gentleman is listening and that he will be joining us shortly on the program to share with us.
Yes.
Is it somebody who has had his diabetes reversed, or is it that he's been able to manage?
Well, he will tell us.
He will tell us. Okay.
Yes,
so while we wait from him, so we dealt with the myths, we dealt with the types, we dealt with the risk factors, and you spoke briefly on the reversal.
Yes.
So probably we can talk some more
access to care. Yes. There are some areas that I think we need to talk about.
Okay.
In terms of access to care, the first is self-care. So oftentimes when you think of access to care, we think, what the government has to provide, the health centers and all of that. But sometimes we don't think what we can do and should do for ourselves. So self-care is very important. And we start with access to care by providing self-care. And by self-care, I'm encouraging persons, you don't have to get diabetic to have a blood sugar monitor, to have a blood pressure monitor, so you can monitor yourself, especially now during the COVID-19 pandemic. Many people have been challenged in the sense that at some points where the health services are so overwhelmed with COVID, managing the COVID situation, that sometimes persons with diabetes or even high blood pressure do not get the regular attention that they would have gotten before COVID. And so we are encouraging persons to have their own meters that they can monitor. They can see what progress they are making, or if things are going out of hand, that they can call, they can visit, they can, get some help. So I'm encouraging that. Besides that, there are things that we need to do, as I mentioned earlier, get adequate water, getting enough rest. Diet is very important. Nutrition plays a key role in the prevention, in the reversal, and in the management of diabetes. So we are asking persons to ensure that they eat more of a plant-based diet, that they get adequate amount of water, vegetables, a lot of vegetables. You can have raw vegetables like salad, you can have steamed veg, and your refined foods, we should avoid refined and processed foods as much as possible.
Give us examples.
So the whole wheat bread instead of white bread, your ground provision instead of the pasta and the white rice. You can have brown rice, or you use those foods that are high in fiber, because the fiber helps to release the sugar more slowly in the bloodstream than if you have refined foods. Also, we are encouraging or discouraging the use of heavy fat, fried foods and fatty foods. So you reduce the intake of fats as well, because you understand what that does. So all this will be part of self-care. For persons who are already diabetic, examining the feet, watching the feet, and ensuring that you use the proper footwear. All that is part of self-care for the diabetes. But for everybody, sometimes we pay attention to our face, our eyes, our hands, our nails, and stuff like that, and we may not pay much attention to the feet, so we need to pay attention to our feet. Testing is also another area of access. Yes, we do blood sugar testing using the meter, but the HbA1c is a test that is done for diabetics, and every diabetic should have an HbA1c test done at least every 3 months. And if you cannot get it done every 3 months, it should be done at least twice a year, right? The HbA1c,
what does it tell you?
It gives you a good estimation as to the concentration of sugar at the cell level, right? Because if the percentage is greater than 5 or 6.5, then it means your blood sugar is not well controlled, and you can have damage to the cells, damage to the tissues, as a result of the high concentration of sugar. Now, it is different from doing your blood sugar now. Your blood sugar now will tell you what the sugar level is at this time.
Right.
And it depends on what you have eaten, it depends on your level of activity, all of that. But the HbA1c, that changes every 3 months, right? Because it's when the cells replace or repair every 3 months, So you get a result which gives you an average of what your blood sugar is over a period of 3 months. So it actually helps to gauge your level of management or control. And this is a test. I believe it is simple. There are small equipment that could be made available at the health center, the type 3 health centers. So yes, this is something that we would encourage persons to, not persons, but the health system to provide that kind of service to the diabetics. There are enough diabetics that they should do. Also, it's a good screening test for persons who are overweight or obese, because it can help you to diagnose diabetes early. We are not talking about signs and symptoms here because if you wait until you have signs and symptoms,
then you're in trouble.
You're in trouble. The diabetes is already gone way beyond. So we have told you the risk factors, and we've told you how you can manage to prevent you either getting diabetes or to prevent yourself reaching to the stage where you have
too late.
It's too late.
All right, Ms. Prevost, I see we have someone on the line. So take a note of where you left off so we can resume. So let us see if it's your gentleman.
Yes.
You may put on your headphones. Let's see if it's your gentleman on the line. Let's say good evening. Okay. Barbados.
Yes. That's my friend Gail.
Yes, go ahead.
Good evening, Gail.
That's
all right.
I saw some live activity a little earlier on today. Yeah. Okay, all right, good stuff, good stuff.
Yeah, I got it. All right then. Thank you, Gail. Right.
What is the like before you walk there for some morning and you take those clothes, what is the best number?
Okay, well, in Barbados, that should be less than 4.5. Yeah? Yes. If you, before you have taken breakfast, yeah, between four and 5 would be the best before breakfast. Yeah. And after breakfast, it should be under 6.
I always read like 6.4, sometimes it will go 5.8, but I never went nowhere to 4. And then sometimes I go up to 11, 11.2.
Oh, the 11 is high. Yeah, the 11 is much too high.
But that is something but I was so, my daughter told me that I am a diabetic. I said, no, I am not a diabetic. And then, well, going into surgery, I was 9.4.
Okay.
And I bought all my equipment, my brother sent down for me. So every morning, I take it 3 times a day. Sometimes it's okay, and then sometimes it's not okay. Sometimes it's right back down. Sometimes it's almost going to on the right. So they have one of those either to have the blue. When it's the blue, that means it's going to white.
Yes. I'm not sure.
Coming to be.
She
parties and different things because they really can't get it to be at this time of the flower. When you say it has more it was flower than we.
Okay, never mind. But even though it is, it has once it has some wheat, it's better than the whites, than the plain white. Anyhow, yes.
We jam and I make my party, whether it's cakes or whatever.
Okay, good. Good.
All right.
Then I stopped using the rice and I used brown rice.
Oh, very good. Very good. Very good.
Before, when I know you, I always a learning lesson.
Yes.
Thank you so much for calling and participating in our program, and thank you for being so much having so much love for Dominica.
Yes.
I went to school from primary school, and even before as a child I grew up in Dominican. You know what they never really talk much, but then I met some friends when I became one. And they was there to us when they come, when they first went to Dominican. They were born in Barbados, but his mother was Dominican, and then they came up, they told us that, you know, Christopher Columbus to come back, the only people recognize is Dominican because it's natural and it's on spot. And I said it, and you know, even your prime minister said it as though I was trying to insult, but I love your country. I say that to say this, I love your country because of it natural.
Thank you.
I love it. When I wake up on one leg and see mountains and clouds over those. And that's the Barbados city. This area Barbados is very flat.
Yes. Thank
Just favor me or whatever your country is a beautiful country and I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. All right, 19 minutes to the 10 o'clock hour. All right, so hopefully we should be hearing shortly from the guest that we're hoping to hear from on the program. So he can call us on 449-3095. So if he's listening, 449-3095 or 449-3096 or 449-3097. So we have somebody else on the line. Good evening.
Doing well, thank you. Doing well.
We're not hearing you too very clearly. Still low a bit, but try to go ahead.
Okay. So I just wanted to talk about this this year. I got diagnosed in August of 2 years ago.
Okay.
August, and I didn't have my first university until 3 months. Then when I was at diabetes, I had blood sugar about 7 or so.
What?
So I had blood sugar of 7 as well, and the hospital, and the doctor had a conversation. One of the doctors who I left said to me, you know, you're diabetic, you're going to have a long road ahead of you, young man, you have to take it seriously. And I'm actually sure to expect what about, but pretty much that keeps me my diet change from whatever, pretty much all grass. I had a very tough issue in it pretty much that I'm starting my diet. The most important part of that though was my family and the fact that everyone was really take on the challenge. Like, because that's kind of the hardest part. The hardest part is when you're on a regular deal and like you don't really think about
You just do it.
that. And so that was a massive like first work. And 3 months later when I my number one, right?
Wow.
Then from seven to starting to be better at this than normal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I recognize the voice. I won't exactly say who it is, but I do recognize the voice. And we really do appreciate you sharing.
That's okay. I have a problem. I do want to encourage us. I think the hardest part of the diabetic story about understanding where we should and shouldn't. So often, what we need to not really conscious. Don't really think about it too much. Like, one when you go with,
Mm-hmm.
but it requires too much more effort from the individual. There's the packages of what is buying on what and understand how much sugar is, whether it is that it's packaged, going to look like it's packaged for a people or for a single person. There may be 2 or 3 servings included in the product, right? And so that changes the mathematics for you. No longer, we no longer expect the same nutrition of the entire system. You have to budget, especially budget your diet for half of it, right, or for a third. It requires that sort of additional thought about what it is. And even in a lot of ways, when it is and I'm speaking as someone who is not necessarily from the experience. So there are some things you can have that are nice, that are fun, that are everybody loves. Doesn't mean you can never have ice cream. Doesn't mean you have to earn your ice cream.
Right. Yeah.
You can have ice cream multiple times a month. If you come to know a delicate that you reward yourself with after a long time of not having, whatever it is. My craving constantly is a really extreme like I cannot keep down, but I know that I really should not. But I think it all stems from or the success of the stems from support.
Yes.
It probably will support.
Yes.
Things that mention your diet, or at least for things that are separate from everybody else. I think that I've had situations where club workers taking away food from me, and you actually be eating it, and I was going
Yeah.
crazy, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. It's not. I like what they're talking about the reversal, and that is entirely possible. Going on my diet, when I was first diagnosed, I shaved off 20 pounds in like 2 months, just from and I added the exercise to my diet. I didn't add exercise into my weight. I tried to walk more, right? That's the get up and go to the fridge or like
Yeah, that is exercise. That is exercise. We usually say increase your level of activity. Yeah, so that is good.
So like go to the gym or like I start running in the morning or anything. So wasn't necessarily that. But from reading what I was how much of myself, even when I would go dinner with friends or go to like let's say a pop-up for example, on first street, I would start again. I would start with the salad. I go forward, right? To ensure that half of my plate vegetables filled with salad. So if there's no any rice or pasta or anything, I would completely drastically not just that that's a choice, right? But it is not impossible, and I'll tell you, there's no way around it. It's not going to be great in the beginning. You're not going to like it. You're not going to enjoy it. But it grows on you. It gets better. It gets better over time. You get more used to it, and you get more used to the idea that what it is you better for you than perhaps what.
Bigger picture, I guess in this case, you have to look at the bigger picture. What is the objective? What's the ultimate goal of having to make those sacrifices?
I was looking at my future. Let's talk about your medication is so alkaline medication for a month, the first month. I was put on Langride and metformin. I came up with metformin for a week and a half. They're both. Because again, I changed my entire diet, so my sugar consumption was significantly less than most of the diet I first started. So the dosage that was first just for me at that time wasn't useful. Wasn't useful a week and a half later that at that point I was having spells of low blood sugar. So just like I come off of metformin and at the end of the month, just like I come off of the cider.
Wow.
My dad went and not doing a great job of late. I have a lot of work to get back to where I but it did prove to me along myself that it's highly possible that
And it's entirely up to you.
Yes.
and again, with the right support system, it makes much more.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you.
And that's actually Elias. When Nazim mentioned to me what it was going to be, so that's Elias Duffy, whom I know very, very well. And I'm quite impressed, Elias, to hear you that you were off metformin within a week and a half and off glyburide by the end of a month because you recognized what needed to be done and then you made an immediate decision. This is how I'm going to deal with this. And I mean, you're off medication. I mean, this is excellent.
To be very honest, I cannot take all of the credit for it. I'm married to Amy Walsh, and she, I call her the other day on the radio, I call her Sarah. She told me, like,
Good.
the day I got diagnosed, she cleaned out our pantry and took out everything that would be a threat. And she also is on a massive diet, like she's purple, as well. When I did decide to add more exercise to my diet and to my day, and I should start waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and go walking in the morning. So it's not something that I did all on my own and skills, but I mean, just massive support from my wife and even our son. Criteria is eating of bread.
Okay. All right, Elias, we have to wrap up. Just share your final comments with us and, speak to those who probably are still struggling with getting to the point that you've gotten to. Of course, as you said, with the right support, and I think that is just so critical and so important. So let's get some final comments from you.
So I have two people to thought on that. Number one, I think it actually is our ability. If you are struggling, I completely understand it. No one in my stomach begs me to eat sugar every day. And if you are, you can reach out to me, you can reach out to the other people that people have reached out to me across social media when I have mentioned it. I have been incredible support for me. And have made me know that they are available if I have a problem. There is opportunity on that. The number one and two, please learn your English, understand what it is, understand what it is. That's what you need to do. I've been trained pretty much most of my life as for the day when I was possibly pick up diabetes. One of the first things that I read was Virgin Maria was fair food because I needed to make sure my first day. Because always very conscious of that. Understand what it is. So it's health. That's critical. And lastly, I was not going to spend any time with people who want to. That I was not going to waste time with people who were not on my mission. I was not trying to get to where I was trying to get to. This has robbed me of a lot of time and a lot of important. My father. Last thing in my life, I was to tell my father. And feeling that it has ravaged my entire family. And the only thing I did is they feel like they might be in a situation or might be heading to this one, you can actually see your direction. But number two, not only in time, spend time with love, spend time with value, spend your effort and your time, making sure that you are good and benefit because it's not, you don't have all the time, right? And do listen to your friends and your family tell you that whatever you do is done. I know it's hard, very difficult. You cannot do it. It is possible. And like I said, you want to talk, you want to have a word, have a moment.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We appreciate you coming on with us and really sharing your experience with us. And two very important points I must you highlighted here: the importance of reading labels, very important, and the social support from your family and the people that matter in your life. I always say there's not a diabetic diet. The diabetes is a healthy diet, and if the family eats that way, then it's going to benefit the entire family. And finally, you mentioned the history that your family have gone through, and that you are now you have taken the same by the board, by the horn.
Yeah, definitely have.
You have taken it so that you do not. And the same thing I was referring to in terms of the hereditary thing. You recognize that this is a path. You change your course, and then you end up in a different route. So thank you so much for joining us on this program tonight. Your contribution was valuable.
Definitely. I was really happy to hear from Elias, and I know I've seen him post about this on social media, but to hear him speak about it, I only wish he was in the studios because his voice was still a bit low, and I really hope that people were able to grasp and to hear exactly what he was sharing with us. But good job, Elias. Quite impressive. I think you're gonna be quite a bit of encouragement to many people after tonight's program. So thank you for that, Elias. Ms. Prevost, we're almost at the end of our program. Is there anything critical that you may not have touched on that we need to touch on before we wrap up?
Yes, I need to mention the importance of education as far as the access to care is concerned. At the UN General Assembly 2007, a resolution was adopted recognizing the urgent need to pursue multilateral efforts to promote and improve human health and provide access to treatment and health care education. So it is very important. What we are doing tonight is important, very important in educating the public in terms of diabetes and what needs to be done. Also, it is always felt, and I'm happy that we had Elias on tonight, that the patients or the person with diabetes or who have reverse diabetes, it should be center of the education. They should be involved so that we are not just talking to people because when you do not know, you never had diabetes, you do not know what it is like. You're just talking from the book. But it is good when we can have somebody who have the experience and who have gone through it and realized the benefits. Because sometimes we only hear about the people who have had an amputation, or we hear from the people who are maybe on dialysis or whatever. We hear the negatives, in that line. But we need to hear that the success story, so to speak, that it doesn't have always to be that way.
Yes.
There is a better way. And this is what tonight I want to leave with our listeners. One, you can prevent it, and if you have a diagnosis, the sooner you can start those changes you should, so that you can prevent those deadly complications of diabetes. And so tonight, I am so thankful for the opportunity through the Diabetes Association to have been here with you tonight, Kudina, on In the Spotlight show.
Yes.
And I trust that all those who have been listening to the program tonight will have gained something.
Oh, yes.
That definitely they can. And of course, I'll share my number again, 245-6373-616-5858. You can send a text, send a message, and of course, I will be tapping on the resources of Elias as well to help me to
Well,
push
he's
this
offered
message.
up he's offered up himself.
Yes, so he can be a part of the support system to help people to overcome this whole journey.
And just pray for yourself, continue fighting, because it's a battle.
Yes.
In terms of getting people to listen and to getting people to act. So, as I said, you've been here before. We've spoken about this here before on the program.
3 years ago.
Yes, we did. And so, I still felt it important to reach out to the Diabetes Association and to continue this conversation. It is important in reaching those who can prevent it from happening. It is important to assist those who currently are living with it, that they can make the changes that needs to be made to be able to either live with it comfortably, reverse it, which is what we should all work towards, as you've indicated.
Yes.
And it's hard. I can tell you, it's hard. I listened to you last, and I as I said, I was quite. It was quite interesting to just hear him say that by the next day, he had made the decision to make the change. And he was honest to also say that lately he's probably fallen off the wagon a little bit, but that he's going to get back on the wagon and get on, because we're human.
Yes. And the fact that he has that support from his family, his wife, his son,
even.
And the support.
And even at work, he said even at work, they stop him sometimes, they take it from him.
Yes.
So
he needs that kind of support all around in order to help us to get.
All right. Ms. Prevost, I truly thank you again for being here tonight to share with us. And I know it won't be the last time. As I'm here, it does. You say you were just here last year with me on the program. But thank you again, those of you who tuned in to the program. We actually used our various platforms tonight. We were actually live on YouTube, live on the In the Spotlight radio show page, and also live on my personal page as well. We're just testing out the StreamYard to see how it works, how it can support us in reaching more persons with our program, the In the Spotlight radio show. So we ask you again to please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is actually on Kudina F. Frampton, so you go there and subscribe. We encourage you to follow the In the Spotlight radio show page, become a fan of our group, and just support us in whatever way that you can. We thank again Q95 for giving us the platform to be here on a Monday night for the program. We thank Josephine Gabriel and Company. They are the agents for Barefoot Wine, and we also thank them for their topical water. Unless you didn't touch your water, was it too far away from you? So thank you to Josephine Gabriel for that. I must mention my boy GK, Jordan Jerome, for his support, Akim Lowe, and of course you, the listeners, the fans of the program, and the guests. Without the guests, we would not have a program. So we thank everyone, and we continue to be here on a Monday night. We deal with different things. We deal with subject matters, issues. We deal with more so the human interest stories. So we're just happy to be here to always give you some level of, a little buoy on a little something of everything is what we try to do here on the In the Spotlight radio show. And again, we thank you for your support. On that note, we wrap it up for tonight, and we will be back next week, Monday, God willing, with another program.
We would love to hear from you. If you have suggestions of guests or topics and issues you'd like featured on In the Spotlight, let us know. We'll also welcome your feedback. Please send us an email at inthespotlight.da@gmail.com or contact us at 275-7565. In the Spotlight is aired on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. with your host, Adina Fountain. Until next time, good night and God bless.